some professors from the university drafted what's called the Santa Barbara Declaration of Environmental Rights, because there's nothing in the U.S. Constitution or Bill of Rights about the environment, but also about protecting public health and safety. And so they wrote the Santa Barbara Declaration of Environmental Rights. It was read into the congressional record and became the foundation of the very first modern environmental law, the National Environmental Policy Act, which, if you look at the findings of that law, say we need to live in harmony with nature. We need to have an ecological conscience. We need to make sure our actions do not harm the environment, and set up a process to make sure that agencies consider the consequences of their actions before they make decisions. Because what happened in 1969, Union Oil had requested an exemption from the requirement to case their entire well when they do their drilling. And so when they had a blowout, there was no casing there to contain the oil, and it just spewed into the environment and into the ocean. And by some reports, it continued spewing for about a year. So it was a massive oil spill. So the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, says, hold on, before an agency makes a decision like waiving that requirement, they have to go through an analysis, and they have to hear from the public, and they have to hear from other agencies and experts, and determine what the potential environmental impacts might be. Can they be avoided? Is there another way to move forward with this activity that will either avoid all the impacts entirely or at least reduce them significantly? So we take that for granted now. We talk about environmental review, and in California, we have our own version, the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA. That didn't exist before the '69 oil spill. And then in short order, Congress passed the Endangered Species Act, the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, coastal protection laws, Marine Mammal Protection Act, all within a few years. And that may seem crazy now. It's really hard to get laws passed, but within the first 3 to 4 years, all those laws were passed with bipartisan support, signed by President Nixon, a Republican. And in California, we had the California Environmental Quality Act and the Coastal Act, again, bipartisan support, signed by a Republican governor, Ronald Reagan. So with all of these new laws intended to prevent environmental harm, EDC was formed to support other organizations. Some of them also formed from the oil spill, like Get Oil Out and Community Environmental Council. But we were formed specifically to give all of these other organizations the tools that they needed to prevent another disaster and to protect our region. And so that's why EDC was formed. We represented more than 140 organizations throughout our history.